Hey guys, V. Ragoni, Max, high performance real estate entrepreneur. So, what are we going to be talking about today? Well, we'll tell you in a minute, but let's first subscribe to the channel. Then if you like the content, then let's smash the like button. Leave a comment, question, because we're always here to answer your questions, because that's how you learn. I know that when I'm in a meeting with my son, I drive him absolutely nuts if we're looking at something new, because I keep asking questions. He just sits there and absorbs it all. Me, I got to ask questions. Everybody learns differently. So if you're a learner that needs to ask questions, then ask the damn questions. So what are we doing here? Well, we're going to be talking about what we've done in the past 3 years, what we've done over the last year, what we're planning on doing in 2024. Is that freaking ridiculous? I remember signing a mortgage that was supposed to be matured in 2024, and here it is. Is that crazy or what? Anyhow, so we have a little bit different format here. We're in the conference room of our offices here in Lake Forest, Illinois, and yeah, we're still in Illinois, the great state of Illinois. But we all know that this is one of the states, a blue state, that loves to raise taxes, not real friendly to business. They're in the process of destroying one of the greatest cities, in the country. But what are you going to do? We'll be heading down to Florida. We're going to be doing some business down there. In fact, we were looking to buy 2 restaurants here. We were supposed to have closed on them by now. And that all fell apart because shit happens. Now, that wasn't on us. That was on the seller. We were ready to go. We had the funds. We could pull the trigger. $2 million. But the guy, he just got a little bit too big in the head. Nice guy. But you know what? I got to tell you before we get started. By going down there and seeing this guy, and he was a New Yorker, okay? And those guys from New York, they're very interesting. So you guys that are living in New York, you know what I'm talking about. Now, but we learned some things from him. Always, whenever you're involved in any transaction, whenever you're looking at anything, there's always opportunities to learn. We learned some really interesting operational aspects of operating a breakfast restaurant. And then we implemented them. So even though we spent about $10,000 to $15,000 in legal fees that went down the drain, we've gained that back probably tenfold over the next 12 months from what we learned from this guy who's been in the restaurant business almost his entire life. And so, hey, always be looking for the wisdom. Just got to be that way. Think about it from that perspective. But to roll this back a little bit, we've been on this new path for about, I'd say a little less than 3 years, somewhere in that 3-year range. All right. And so, yeah, it has to be in that 3-year range because, we bought our first property in late part of 2020 when COVID had hit. So over these 3-year period of time, what have we done? Because, I sit here and I talk about, what you should do. And it's like, if I don't tell you what we've done, then why the hell would you want to have anything to do with what I tell you? If I can't, show you what we've done, if I can't say to you, hey, this is what we've accomplished, all right, now it's on you. Because that's the kind of person I'm always at, is like, hey, what are you going to do? But you're the kind of person that says, hey, what have you done? So we can get out there, we can start talking about it here. So I had to write it down because it's hard to keep it all, straight. And so let me kind of go through this. In the past 3 years, we bought a golf course. Now we brought in investors with us on all of these deals. We do real estate syndications. We do all this kind of stuff. Now, typically we do real estate syndications. We operate the overlying business. Typically we bring in our investors and they're also involved in the real estate, but we don't put their money we're not sitting there and saying, hey, we want you to invest in a business. No, because, sometimes that could be like, holding water in your hands. Okay, we want our investors always to be involved in something that has basically an equity position. So anyhow, I digress. So we bought a golf course. We fully renovated that golf course in 2021. Fully renovated it. And we also we put in drainage. We did everything to this thing except build out the bar. But we did do the clubhouse, but we just couldn't build out the bar because we didn't have the permit to build out the bar because you got to then get the liquor license to operate. So, but we did that. All right, so Then we also did a marina. We bought a marina, and it's a large marina. Okay, it's pretty decent size. It's like 110 boat slips. It has about 35 permanent park model campers on it. It's actually 14 acres, which about 8 acres are out of the water. I know it's kind of weird. 6 acres are actually under the lake. What are you going to do? Can't do anything with it, but hey, it's there. I'm sure we're paying taxes on it. All right, so we did that. We also bought multifamily buildings, multiple multifamily buildings. And then we fully renovated these buildings. And we did full renovations on these units, top to bottom. Even the light switches, even the outlets on the walls, everything was replaced. And by doing that, we jumped those rents tremendously. We took rents that were $800, $900. They're $1,600 now. They're $1,800, $1,900 now. What does that do to the value of the buildings? Well, it sure does help force up that valuation. So that's what we did there. All right. Then we grew back our life insurance company. And what do I say grow it back? Because when COVID hit, nobody even wanted to meet with you. There was no way that you were going to be able to, to do any kind of life insurance. Because yes, we do have an insurance company. Now we had that before 3 years ago, but when COVID hit, it really knocked that down. But that is back, baby. We've grown that back. That is it's doing very well now. Now, we bought and operated 6 restaurants. That's right, 6, of which 3 of them we've closed on just this year, just in the last month. And then we run and operate the business because we almost always buy the property. Now, will that always be the case? No, because there can be some really nice restaurants and locations in which it's just not possible to buy the property. But where we can buy the property, we buy the property. Because why? Because we're also real estate people. See, remember, we started all this being real estate people. That's why we bought the golf course. That's why we bought the marina. That's why we bought, the apartment buildings. But then things changed, and they changed big. People were overpaying for these apartment buildings. People were overpaying for all of the, for the income that these things were producing. And now what's happened? Well, the cap rates are expanding on these apartment buildings, and the valuations are starting to drop. We're going to get into that, but it got to the point where we could not buy more apartment buildings because we would have been paying too much for them, and the cost of borrowing money to buy them was going up excessively. And and I've talked about this in the past, there's a lot of people out there right now that did this, that were buying apartment buildings. And in order to make those deals work, they were doing what I've expressed in the past. They were going in there and either buying it with hard money, in which that money has to be paid back in a limited period of time. They were buying it with adjustable rate interest that is now adjusted up, choking them out. Because at the fixed rate interest at the time, which was at 4%, they couldn't make the deal work. Isn't that nuts? You couldn't make a deal work at 4%? So then you went adjustable, and now you're sitting there and it's 6%, 7%, depending upon the escalators in the mortgage document and on the note. So this is choking them out. So we had to say to ourselves, no, let's go in a different direction. So that direction was the restaurants. Why? Because the restaurants then produce revenue. And by being able to, because there was a tenant in there and we were the tenant, we could then force the appreciation on the buildings because then we're doing work on the buildings. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Now, what else we do? Oh, we fully renovated one of the restaurants this year. A full renovation, inside and out. Bathrooms, kitchens, countertops, floors, exterior, full renovation. And that's actually getting a 3 seasons room on it now. Here it is in December in Illinois. We've had a mild winter. We're putting a 3 seasons room where we're going to be able to pipe in heat and even expand out that dining room. Okay? Now, that's what we've been working on. What else we do? Let me see here. So this is what we've done in the last 3 years. So when I'm sitting there telling you got to work from a high performance basis, this is what we're doing. Now, did I do this by myself? Absolutely not. John is the CEO of our company. He's the one that's responsible. But we're out there doing. We built a team. We have managers in the different restaurants. We have a district manager now across all the restaurants. We have a COO that oversees them, CFO. We have to build this out. If you don't build it out, you can't do it all by yourself. It's not possible. It's the old thing about having the right people in the right seats on the bus. But you got to have a bus to put the people in the seats. So, I was just reading a quote from Mark Cuban. He said he sold the majority stake of the Mavs to I think it's the Adelson family that do the casinos, because he wanted to. He said number one, which I thought was very interesting in this deal. He said he realized that basketball is all about real estate now. Media is going by the wayside. Now it's all about, because of social media, it's all about real estate. He said in order for the Mavs to continue on, they're looking at maybe putting in a casino. So he went to one of the biggest casino families in Vegas, and he sold them a big chunk of the thing. He maintains the operations of the Mavericks, and he keeps 27%, and they bought it for like $3 million. $3 billion. But he said in the end, it's all about real estate. But you see, in his case, he wanted to expand his team. Yes, he could have gone out. He said, why? Because real estate's not my thing, is what Cuban said. But it is for this other family. It's their thing. And so he brought them in on the team. Now, one could say now he's on their team because he's got the minority interest. But like he said, 27% of a watermelon is a lot bigger than 100% of a grape. And that's a quote. So you got to build out your team. That's a real important thing. So what are we going to do coming forward? This is probably the first one you're going to hear of our new series here in 2024 when this comes out. So what's on the table for us? What are some of the things that we're thinking about doing? What are we planning around in which we expect to execute on all of these? But if we don't even execute on all of them, it'll still be a giant success if we execute on the majority of them. Because there's always something that comes out of the blue, good or bad, that you have to adjust to. But this is basically on our list. So you're just going to kind of go over that with you. Because do you have a list? What are you planning on doing? What's going to go on in your business life in the next 12 months? Let me kind of give you an overview of what we're talking about. Looking to fully renovate 2 restaurants, all right? Putting in anywhere from $300,000 to $400,000 in each restaurant, of which one restaurant, a Village, is going to give us back $100,000 for redoing the front of the building. Yeah, when they put in a Walmart in the town, then at that point they allowed money for the in-town businesses to fund renovations of the storefronts. So we're going to be able to pick up almost just shy of $100,000 for doing the renovation. Pretty sweet, huh? But we're still going to have to put out the capital. We're going to do the renovations. We're going to be building a private dining room into this restaurant. On another restaurant we just took over, and we're going to be building out a very nice high-end suburban breakfast restaurant. It was in the same family for, I don't know, I think since they started, 35 years or so. The people are older, they're retired. They had it open for breakfast starting at 9 o'clock in the morning. Really? Who goes for breakfast? The number of people that drive past that place between 7 and 9 is ridiculous. So we're going to build out the food, we're going to build out the service, we're going to then build out the restaurant. So that's on the list. Golf course. We've been waiting for 14 months for a permit finally. This is the golf course we bought in the late part of 2020. We're finally going to be able to, after 14 months, we're finally going to be able to get the permit to build out the bar and grill. We had to jump through all kinds of hoops. We had to turn over. They took a part of our land for the road. All kinds of stuff took place. We probably spent over $50,000 just in survey studies, whatever they wanted. Yeah, could we have gone to court? Who knows? Maybe we would have been able to, get rid of some of this. But what are you going to do? You're going to spend 3 years in court? Can't do it. Spend thousands of dollars? Can't do it. So we just went along. We got the permit now. We're going to build out that bar. That bar is going to be really sharp. And hopefully we have the liquor license before the golf starts. And then once we get the liquor license, then we bring in the gaming, because we have a separate game room for gaming, because in Illinois they allow the gaming. So we're going to be doing that. What else? Build out that. We're also looking to double the size of our restaurant portfolio. You see, as you do, it gets easier. You become a player. Now we own 6 restaurants in the local area. Now, does that mean we're going to buy 6 more restaurants this year to double it? No. We may just buy one that doubles the revenue completely. It just depends. Or two. It's a matter of revenue size. So whenever we're talking about increasing the portfolio, we're not necessarily talking about increasing the number of restaurants. It's the revenue generated, the top line. So we're just going to start to maybe looking at bigger restaurants. We're looking at one right now that's between $6 and $7 million. So that's on the agenda. That's what we're working on. We're going to be we're looking to buy an accounting practice, somewhere between $2 to $4 million this year. Why? Because we're building out this very large bookkeeping practice within our company that is an expense that just generates expense to us, right? All the bookkeeping, counting everything, different business, because of all the different variety of businesses and the number of them. So we're going to be up to about 5 bookkeepers. We'll say, hey, let's just go buy an accounting practice. And what will that do for us? Well, if we buy an accounting practice, it does several different things. We can now take our in-house bookkeeping and move it over there and eliminate that in-house, number one. Number two, it's a great synergy to the financial practice, to our financial practice. So it's a great synergy to that. People who want their accounting done, they also need investments, right? It's also a great synergy to syndication, real estate syndications. Also looking for alternative investments. So you have to think out of the box a little bit. We understand how accounting practices work. Our CFO, he's a CPA. And so it comes natural to us. We're not all of a sudden going to start up SpaceX. That comes natural to Elon. It doesn't come natural to us. All right? And so we see that as a really nice add-on. We're looking at that seriously this year. That's a big one. What else we got going on? We're looking to get into the multifamily again. We think that sometime between now and the end of 2024, there is going to be such a dislocation, a further dislocation in commercial and in multifamily, not in single family. Single family is in great position. All these people with the 3.5%, 4% mortgages, or their homes are paid off, right? There's no crisis necessarily that's going to come to single family. It's coming to commercial. There's $500 billion worth of commercial loans that are coming due just this year that are all going to be refinanced at like double the interest rates, double. And then all those people who bought the multifamilies in the last couple of years and before they started raising interest rates and they had the adjustable rate mortgages, all those chickens are going to come home to roost, and there's going to be great opportunities. So what are we going to be looking to do? Put debt over our portfolio of multifamily. And then we'll use that money, hopefully somewhere between $3 and $6 million. And then we're going to go buy, we're going to be looking for the 100 to 200 unit multifamily complexes. Not here in Illinois. We have some target markets, Tennessee, Florida, Texas. Okay, that's what we're going to be doing. A mentor of mine, he just picked up a huge complex in San Antonio for $100,000 a door. That's a good buy. That's a screaming buy. These are coming. We're seeing it. If you look on 10X, you'll see better deals showing up, nicer looking buildings showing up. All right? And you don't have the buyers that you're going to have to compete with initially. They're not going to be there. It's going to be who can stand there with the money in hand and say, I can buy this. We want to be one of those people. So there's the multifamily side. And then on top of that, once we buy those buildings, then what are we going to do? Well, we're going to start our rehab strategy immediately. Oh, another thing we're now in the food truck business. That's right. One of the restaurants we recently closed on has an amazing food truck. Okay, so we're now in the food truck business. So we're going to build that business out. We don't just want one food truck. We'd like to end the year with 2 or 3, and then go from there. Because once you learn, is it a business? We're going to have to learn, absolutely. But we've got a food truck, and we're in the restaurant business. So now we go figureitout.com. That's what you do. Another thing we're looking to do this year is sit there and say, hey, should we be building out a boat dealership to sell boats at the marina? Because this marina has never sold boats before. And selling boats can be very, very profitable. Very profitable. Now, in the last 2 years, not so much. We threw away a marina that we had under contract, that we had started to put under contract in 2020, because we saw what was happening and what was going to happen as the new administration went in, and the gas prices went through the roof, And then the interest rates went up. And then they couldn't get the boats in time. Well, boats lost about 20% of sales a year ago. They've lost another 20% this year. We think they're going to be down next year, okay? Because people ran out like crazy during 2019 and 2020 and bought boats. So there's a cycle to everything, folks. Know what the cycle is. So you see, we're going to start building out that dealership. You got to make those connections. You got to start bringing on those boat dealers a year in advance. Now, are we going to commit to buying a lot of boats? No, but we're going to be looking at 2025. Why? Because then you're going to have hopefully a new administration, right? With the prices of gasoline starting to come down. Hopefully we'll start to see interest rates come down by 2025. Hopefully next year. That's what I'm pushing for. And people will not have bought many boats in the last 3 years. So you want to be prepared. Okay, and so when they're doing that, looking to build out an online training programs. People ask me all the time, what's the secret? How do you guys do it? Where are you coming from? Why can you do all this? What changed? How can I do it? How do I go from where I'm at to where you're at? So we're going to be looking to build out that whole platform of online training, all those things. Looking to write a book on how do we get to where we're at and where we're going? What are those principles? Well, I can tell you right now what are some of those principles, and we're going to go into them more in the next video. But what are some of those principles? Well, thinking big. Thinking big is probably the biggest, most important principle. And then learning, understanding what it is you're going to do, knowing what you're going to do so you can do it. But before that, even out of order here a little bit, is being able to take risk. Be able to take risk. Now, we're not talking about a 20-year-old where you're telling that person to, hey, invest $3,000 or whatever. That's not risk. Being able to take risk is when you're 35 years old and you've got a family with kids and a wife and they're counting on you, or you're investing other people's money. Now, that's taking risk. And being able to do that and be able to do it comfortably, be able to sleep at night, it's taking risk. Then it's information, knowing what the hell you got to do. And then it's that high performance execution. Because, you can think big, right? You can be willing to take risk. You can get information, but if you can't execute, then it all goes down the drain. Right? And there's a lot of examples of that in the business world, of not being able to execute. That's where the high performance comes in. The three biggies of all this is basically the high performance, thinking big, and being able to take risk. That's really what it comes down to. But it's like, so then how do you get that inside of you? How do you be able to make that happen for you? Well, we're going to be going over that. And then the last thing is, I want to get into all this ClickFunnels stuff. I've been talking about it for a year now. Brunson, ClickFunnels, how to market. Why not? It's out there, guys. Okay, there's a lot of people making a lot of money off of ClickFunnels. Okay, and incorporated in that is the whole AI, which goes across all of the platforms, right? AI is going to affect all of what we do. So that almost goes without saying, because it's almost just going to be embedded in everything we do. But when we're building out these programs, building out the how-tos, how to get there with no money, how to get there with some money, how not to lose the money, then that's going to be really important. These are things, that we're going to be talking about it also as we go forward. Not just that we're willing to, this is what we want to accomplish this year, and then I guarantee you this is just my list. If I sat down and talked with my son, he's got another list. We merge these together, but then we go and we push. And we push. All right, someone said to me the other day, you're stubborn. I said, no, I'm persistent. Persistence has been one of the major aspects of my life that has gotten me finally to the level of success that I'm achieving. I am doggedly persistent. I can put off the gratification of cars. I can put off the gratification of vacations. I can put off the gratification of boats and all that stuff. All right, now it's all hitting now. But you can't be doing all that shit and growing rich at the same time. It's not possible unless you're already rich. So these are things that we're going to be doing. The question is, what are you going to be doing? Okay? What is your 2024 going to look like? What did your 2023 look like? Have you thought about that? Usually people at the end of the year, they start thinking about, the year's over. How did it go by so fast? Blah, 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 blah. Like it's the same damn thing every year. People say the same bullshit. But the question is, what did you accomplish? You got your job. You kept your job. All right? What else did you do? Well, you put some money in your 401k. All right, well, good. That's great. It's not enough. What are you going to do? Are you going to let 2024 be exactly what it was in 2023? Because, we all know that's the definition of insanity, right? Continue to do exactly what you did the year before, the time before, the day before, the moment before, and do it in the future, and you basically got a definition for insanity. So the question, what kind of insane do you want to be? High performance insane? What you do for the littlest things in your life is an example of what you're going to do for the bigger things. That's why high performance is so important. Like I said to you, I'm watching an F1 race, and Haas racing team is finally got 2 cars in the top 10. And the guy putting the tires on 2 cars in the same race that pulled in one after another, he couldn't get the bolt on either tire for either car. It all went down the drain. Both cars didn't even make it out of the pit lane and back into the race. He had 2 cars in top 10. First time he's had a car in the top 10 it was in a year. And he had 2 of them. And because of somebody who couldn't put the tire back on the car in the pit stop, it all went down the lane. So the smallest things you do and how you do the smallest things have a whole lot to do with how you're going to do the biggest things. So think about that. That's what's going on now. I know everybody's going to run out and join the health club. And it's all going to work for about a week and a half. And you're going to be on a diet for 2 weeks. Because you know what? By the time that 14th day come around, you're done. You'll give it 14. You won't give it any more than that in most cases. Okay, yeah, you can go to Ozempic or whatever that stuff is now. You can lose weight that way. Good luck with that. Who knows what those side effects are going to be in the next 10 years. I know some people need it because they're so damn overweight that the side effects don't mean nothing. Just getting rid of 200 or 300 pounds makes all the difference. But what are you going to do? What is your life going to look like in 2024? Are you going to change it? Are you going to change your priorities? Are you going to make a list? And what's that list going to look like for you? So let's get out there this year. 2024, let's crush this shit. Talk to you soon. What'd I say? Think big. Start now. Grow fast.